Mazda has been adamant for many years about their ambitions to go upmarket and focus heavily on crafting and engineering vehicles that bring a higher sense of refinement and quality, while not pivoting away from their heritage, which is shrouded in Japanese performance. By entering this new segment, Mazda will be taking on well-established brands such as Acura, Lexus, Infiniti, Volvo, and possibly even BMW with the CX-90. But for their first attempt at offering luxury and positioning their flagship in a price range between $40,000 and $60,000, Mazda may have just developed a crossover that will forever change this market moving forward. So here are 5 reasons why you should buy a 2024 Mazda CX-90. When you're spending around $60,000 for a crossover, you anticipate delving into a driving environment that reflects the price point, but is also competitive and comparable to other vehicles in the segment. The CX-90 takes elements from current crossovers in the Mazda lineup and goes one step further in every metric, whether it's the soft touch materials, trim pieces, seating comfort, or technology. On the Turbo S Premium Plus suite it featured power adjustable, heated and ventilated Nappa leather seats for both the driver and passenger set the tone for the cabin as a whole, as the support and even bolstering is more than adequate for a crossover in this market. In front of you, there's an all-new full digital gauge cluster, with your choice of going with a minimal layout or more of a traditional look. You can scroll through some information, but Mazda is keeping their technology simple and user-friendly for their first luxury crossover. In addition, you will have a head-up display with a digital speedometer to keep your eyes on the road rather than staring at screens. Before getting into the infotainment system, which really isn't much different than what you'd find in a Mazda CX-50, the interior is cleanly laid out, with physical buttons for the climate control mounted on the dashboard. Better yet, there's no gloss black trim found anywhere when you step inside, which even though that's a trend in 2023, it would have made the interior look cheap. Returning to the user interface, we had the 12.3-inch head unit, with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility with onboard navigation and the 12-speaker Bose Centerpoint surround sound system. For Mazda software specifically, you will have to use the rotary dial and quick access buttons placed on the center console to navigate your way to different menus and to adjust vehicle settings. However, first seen on the CX-50, when using Apple CarPlay, this user interface does function as a touchscreen to make it easier to select apps and set destinations when using Waze or Google Maps. While ultimately not being on par with European competitors in terms of the overall experience when getting behind the wheel, the CX-90's driving environment does fall right in line with competitors such as the Acura MDX, Volvo XC90, and the new Lexus RX 350. Mazda has proven over time that they're capable of elevating the quality of their interiors, but we hadn't yet seen them take major leaps in terms of the craftsmanship and styling of their vehicles from an exterior perspective. The Kai concept certainly helped establish a foothold for Mazda to build off of and develop a lineup around a particular design language, but expectations and demands are much higher when going upmarket. The CX-90 is a clear shift towards bigger and better things, sharing very little in common with the rest of the product line. The chrome accents that outline the gloss black grille is a signature look for Mazda, but the way in which the front fascia has been sculpted is a leap for the brand as a whole. The subtle yet noticeable LED lights that curve inwards towards the grille is one of those aesthetic features that ties everything together. But it's really the smaller details that adds definition to the road presence, such as the functional side air curtains, smooth body lines, the inline 6 badge placed along the side, and the minimal yet noticeable usage of chrome. It's those minor aesthetics not seen on a CX-9 or CX-5 that makes it perfectly clear that the CX-90 is a luxury crossover, as the attention to detail is far more apparent than anything Mazda has developed in recent years. Then coming around to the back, the styling cues are unique and specifically tailored for the CX-90, as its fluid C-pillars, full paint finish for the bumper, thin LED taillights, and rounded rear fascia certainly has some European qualities, but more importantly is unlike anything we've seen from Mazda in the last 10 years. Assuming the CX-90 will be the blueprint and vehicle the rest of the lineup builds around, the transition from being mainstream to going upmarket should be rather seamless, as the new flagship makes a very bold statement and makes it clear that Mazda's intentions of competing against Acura, Lexus, and Infiniti should be taken seriously. As manufacturers begin to downsize on the engines they're offering, it's become common to see luxury crossovers of this size to be powered by a Turbo 4. But Mazda had other plans, and it could be argued that it's what's under the hood that's solely making headlines, and not its overall design and upscale interior. Mazda's flagship is utilizing an all-new 3.3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder engine, producing 340 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque for Turbo S trims, which is the model we had featured, while less equipped CX-90s will receive 280 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque, which is still respectable for this segment. This powertrain is paired with an in-house developed 8-speed automatic transmission that at lower speeds can be a bit clunky. However, when accelerating or on a spirited drive, it's quick shifting and dynamic, making the CX-90 feel sportier than it truly is. While 0 to 60 times hover in the 6-second range, that would be typical and on par with competitors, and despite not being the quickest in a straight line, the 6-cylinder has an intoxicating sound, while the 8-speed keeps you fully engaged. What should be worth mentioning is that the CX-90 is not your average run-of-the-mill 3-row crossover, as the driving experience is far from numb, sedated, or lacking. In fact, it's the chassis and suspension that just might be the real heart that's powering this workhorse. If it's not a Porsche Cayenne, BMW X5, or Acura MDX, you're likely driving a crossover that's tailored for buyers who are prioritizing luxury above impeccable driving dynamics. However, that's not an issue for the all-new Mazda CX-90, which has taken the kinematic posture control from the Miata to improve handling and cornering capabilities, reinforcing the already fine-tuned rear-wheel drive-based Skyactiv multi-solution scalable architecture platform that will be underpinning future models in the lineup. While not necessarily being a sports-tuned suspension, for a 3-row crossover, the CX-90 exhibits very little body roll, likely being one of very few non-German rivals that feels flat in the corners. Compounding the on-road performance, steering is decently weighted, and surprisingly provides feedback, which is a stark difference from the CX-9 it's replacing. Because of this, the CX-90 drives much smaller than its exterior dimensions would suggest, feeling more like a compact luxury crossover on winding backroads. For those who've been in this segment for a while, the CX-90 would be comparable to the Acura MDX in this regard, especially when factoring in the powertrain and transmission. Yet the confident and inspiring handling is more reflective of a BMW X5, appealing to shoppers who are seeking more affordable alternatives. From a consumer's perspective, it can be seen as a risk to be an early adopter when a brand completely changes their identity and produces a vehicle unlike anything they've been offering for decades. But the CX-90's imprint on the 3-row crossover segment has already made a huge impact, as it undercuts all of its rivals in terms of pricing, has the performance to outmatch the Volvo XC90 and Genesis GV80, and has an interior that's crafted in a way that's classy and sophisticated, but also unique compared to other rivals in the luxury segment. It wouldn't be far-fetched to say that the CX-90 is a value on the market right now, whether you're searching for a crossover under $50,000 or you want a well-equipped model. What the CX-90 brings to the table is an SUV that somehow managed to provide European-like driving characteristics with a suspension that's supportive and forgiving, while also living up to the standard set by Mazda themselves, who want to be perceived as a luxury brand. For a crossover, the CX-90 is inspiring, and quite frankly is one of few family vehicles that has soul, captivating you when you get behind the wheel. And that's something, as enthusiasts, we can appreciate. We hope you enjoyed this quick buyer's guide for the 2024 Mazda CX-90. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And if you're interested in buying a CX-90 or any other luxury 3-row crossover, make sure to check out our full reviews to help you find your next vehicle. And thanks for watching.